Welcome to episode, I don't even know what episode this is, of Thoughts with Thoughts. Quick announcement. I will be launching my YouTube channel this week. And if you like the kind of stuff I do on here and the kind of stuff I talk about on here, you're going to love the YouTube channel. So I will be posting it on Instagram. So if you're not following me on Instagram, which what are you doing? It's at the Princess Jazmen. It's at the bottom. That TikTok account is banned, I think. If not, it's not. I'm not posting on it right now. And then the Thoughts with Thoughts YouTube, that's kind of like where I've been posting all these streams. That I will still be doing that, but I'm going to have a separate YouTube channel that's more content that's curated for YouTube. So it's going to be different than this. The quality will be better. I stream on my laptop here. And it is what it is, but I have YouTube equipment ready to go. If I just got to figure out how to use it, I might try to set some of that up after this podcast. I'll be doing try-on hauls. I will be doing these kinds of videos. I'll be doing a lot. I have a lot of stuff. I'm also going to be doing shorts with skits and stuff of my double life that I lived for a while, being a lawyer and an OnlyFans star. And then story time. If you guys want to know how my parents found out about OnlyFans, if you guys want to know those juicy stories, how my boss found out I did OnlyFans at my law firm, all of that, check out the YouTube when I drop it. So I'm going to keep the comment section open. Hey, Sam, I think he's from my Snapchat. I'm glad you're here. So yeah, as you guys start coming in, today is going to be highly interactive as well, because I'm here today to give you guys some of my advice on how to get girls. What do girls really look for? I feel like there's so much misinformation out there, a lot of times coming from men. And I thought maybe you guys want a female perspective. I get so many DMs a day, how do I talk to girls? The number one thing I get, how do I get a girlfriend like you? How do I get somebody like you to like me? So I'm going to tell you what stuff works for me and works for some of my friends. And then some of the stuff I actually quickly looked up before. I have 10 tips. And some of it is backed by research. So yeah, you guys feel free to interact in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions. I will give you whatever advice I can give. So I made quick notes. This isn't super thought out, but I was just I don't want it to be super thought out. I just wanted to think about things that I really feel work on me and work on a lot of other women. And some of these things are things that are talked about, are kind of general, and other people have said them. And some of these things I think are more specific. So number one, and this is kind of what I always think when guys message me online and are hey, how do I get a girl like you? Or how do I get a girlfriend like you? Hi, or they're trying to talk to me in that capacity. Don't do that. You guys need to be going out into the real world and interacting with real people. That is the biggest tip. If you're home all the time and you're just, sitting in your room and you're following content creators, which isn't a bad thing to do, but you're now trying to reach out to content creators, or you're looking at all of these women, these fantasy type of women like me, and you're sitting there oh my God, how do I get a girl? How do I get a girl? And you're just sitting in your room. Well, that's not the way, right? And it's also not a realistic, this is our job, and it's something that we put out. We put out this content for you guys, but you need to also experience the real world, reality, real women. I'm not saying we're not real women, but you know what I mean, right? And I do see this a lot with men online, that I can tell when men online don't have experience with real women. They are super, we kind of talked about the incel community. They're super hyper focused on they're analyzing women's head to toe. this person's a 9.24, that woman's a 7, this woman's thumb is weird, this woman, and they're like, you can tell they have no life and no experience with women, so they have nothing better to do than overemphasize the way people look or feed into a fantasy and think that, like, it's kind of like what I said, all the men who get all their information from porn on sex, so they overemphasize or they think that like your dick size is way more important than it is in real life. They are hyper analyzing, or they think sex is the way that it is in porn all the time. And it's very obvious to women when you live on the internet, or you live in your room, or you live in like a bubble and you're not out experiencing the real world. And then if you're not out experiencing the real world, you're not going to know what to do when you're out in the real world, right? You are socially awkward. And I'm not trying to put down anyone who's in that situation, but if you think that you're socially awkward but you don't go out and do anything and you just sit at home, then of course anyone would be socially awkward. I will even say me, now that I work from home and I'm home all the time, sometimes when I'm out, it's harder for me to like interact the way that I used to interact when I was out and about all the time. This is what I hate about school, when people are told they're like a geek or a nerd and won't get a girl, etc., so they don't believe in themselves. Yeah, but in school, I mean, we all know, like, there's that saying they always said, like, look at these people in 10 years. And when you're young, you're like, oh, I don't know, like, you know, or none of these people will matter in 10, 15 years. It's true, right? The like cool guy, how many of them end up becoming like meth heads? Like a lot of them, right? And then some of these nerds or geeks actually end up being really nice men that a lot of people like, and they end up getting the hot wife and the nice life and the success. So don't let high school, but if you let it be a self-fulfilling prophecy, which I know is easier said than done, and you just decide to like be a little person in your room with your hood on, like, you know, oh, how do I get the prettiest girl I see online, right? When they're selling you a fantasy and you're sitting there like, oh, I can't get a girl like that. I can't get a girl like that. Or, oh, you're making it your focus. Go out and see what there really is. Join a club, do something, start a sport, do something that you enjoy doing and use it as a means of meeting people, or get a job that you like and interact in that capacity. Subscribe to your OnlyFans. Very great content. I love your goddess. Thank you. I'm glad you are subscribed. I will be dropping a cute little sexy video after this. So yeah, the second piece of advice kind of ties into the first one. Be bold, be different. In today's world, nobody, like, look at entrepreneurs or people that are successful. They're not doing what everybody else is doing. They're different. They stand out. They're doing things differently. They're creating differently. They're interacting differently. Nobody wants to be like everybody else anymore. Or if you do want to be like everyone else now, you don't stand out. So, and I know confidence, it's like, well, I'm not confident, so just telling someone to be confident doesn't make them confident. No, but I talked about this in another episode, where the way to build confidence is to do things outside of your comfort zone. The more you do it, it activates the reward systems in your brain. This is literally science. And you get that dopamine, and then it's easier to do it the next time. Easier to do it the next time. Easier to do it the next time. So you can't just sit in your room and wait for the confidence to come to you. You have to, I mean, there's that whole saying, fake it till you make it. And to me, that doesn't mean that you go out and pretend to be like super confident, because, you know, you can tell that too, but you're like, hey, I'm scared to do this thing, but I'm going to do it anyway. And who cares? And then you get the response from that, and then you'll do it again and again and again, and then you'll build that confidence. So, and especially these days when we're seeing so many men that just like sit around and sit online and just hate women and hate their circumstances, this whole manosphere world. If you find that you share grievances with these men and you're like, yeah, you know what, they're kind of right, it is really hard to get women, or women only look at this, but you, instead of following their path, because I promise you they're not getting women, I assure you, you decide, I'm going to be different and I'm going to go out in public and I'm going to approach the girl, you already are standing out. I will say a lot of men don't do that. So when a guy does that, it automatically makes them stand out, and it gives you a leg up, because so many other men these days are like in their rooms miserable because they can't get a match on Hinge or whatever. And that's another thing. yeah, with online dating, there are a billion options for us. If we're sitting in a park or we're sitting having coffee or we're doing something, you're the only person that's coming up and talking to us. So now you're competing with one. You're not competing with us swiping on our phones. So I think that's it's a thing that a lot of men don't do these days because they're intimidated, they're scared. I'm not saying those aren't valid concerns, but you doing it makes you stand out. Now, don't go and be creepy, but you know the difference. Like, go up and be like, hey, I like da-da-da. Like, just read their body language, and if they're seeming receptive, then keep going. If they don't seem receptive, if they're busy or whatever, thank you, have a nice day, walk away. You will not die. And it could lead to something. So many women these days, they are like searching for that very organic way to meet people. And if you're doing that when so many other men aren't doing it, you already have a leg up. If everybody was doing it, then you're competing with all the people that are doing it. So if you're sitting in your room trying to get matches online, I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do, but every guy that feels disheartened in the dating world is doing that, and men who don't feel disheartened. So be different. Jobs are best for meeting a date. They are likely working for a low wage and are modest and a good way to get to know them, but awkward bringing love into the workplace. Yeah, jobs are a really good way to meet people. They are likely working for a low wage and are modest. I don't know what that really means. Are you saying those women are easier? I'm not sure. How would you personally like to be asked out on a date? I will get to that. The awful thing is when you do pluck up the courage and the woman turns around and says, well, you must ask lots of women out if you're confident. Is that like a personal anecdote? And be like, yeah, maybe I do. Or just answer it. Like, be like, if you're like, oh shit, somebody responded to me in a negative way, and you retract, that isn't confidence, right? If somebody, like, I'm just thinking if someone said that, oh, you must ask a lot of guys out, blah, 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 blah. I'd be like, oh, that's a weird assumption to make. You don't know that. I thought you were interesting and I wanted to ask you out. If you're so insecure that your first thought is how many other women is he saying this to, then you're probably not the woman for me anyway. Walk away. That she'll be thinking about that encounter if you do something like that. Okay. Yeah, that's a bot. Okay, if the moderator could remove bot comments. Okay. The third one, this whole nice guys finish last thing is a myth. And this is the one I actually looked up. There's an article on Psychology Today that was talking about the studies that have shown that this is not true, especially as women get older, like they're in their 20s, they're not 15 anymore. It's funny because I don't know if you guys saw that Andrew Tate, Piers Morgan interview where he's saying that he's 35 and he prefers 19-year-olds over like 25-year-olds because their frontal lobe cortex isn't, he didn't say this, but your frontal lobe cortex is not developed till you're around 25. So he wants women with an underdeveloped brain because underdeveloped brains are more likely to not find him repulsive, right? Nobody wants the bad boy anymore when you're like in your 20s, right? Like a criminal history is not cute. I'm not saying it's the end all be all. And if you have a criminal history, you're screwed, but it's not cute anymore. It's not cute to be an asshole. It's not cute to be rude. It's not cute. It makes you seem like predatory almost. For me to think of a 35-year-old that prefers a 19-year-old. I mean, I get maybe his level of maturity is at a 19-year-old level, but it's weird. It's like gross. But where was I going with that? But yeah, this whole nice guys, and there is a distinction, right? So nice and desperate and nice and needy are completely different. So when there's like, oh, I'm nice, and when I'm nice to these girls, they don't like me back. Well, I always think, what do you mean by being nice? Are you nice because you're messaging them a bunch of times, nice things, giving them compliments? Now that seems desperate. It seems needy. But being nice, being a good person, being an agreeable person is attractive. It's attractive to anyone. What makes you an attractive human being is also what makes you attractive to women, right? Do you like to engage with people that are rude? No. Do you like to engage with people that are assholes? No. So why would you think women enjoy men that are assholes? No. So this whole thing, oh, don't be a simp, don't be a simp. I think the men that are saying that, the men who even use that word, they don't realize what being a simp really is. Being a simp doesn't mean you support content creators or you subscribe to OnlyFans. Being a simp doesn't mean that you're nice and you pay for a woman on a date. But being a simp is like if you're, hey, you're so pretty. 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 Hey, hey. Like, the part that makes it, it's not even, simp is a weird word, because the part that makes it unattractive is that I can tell you're desperate and I can tell you're not complimenting me because you want to compliment me. You're complimenting me because you're thinking about this 24/7 and you're trying to get my attention, and you know what I mean? You can tell the difference with that. I mean, I don't agree. Let me scroll up. I get your point, but what he said is that they've been with less guys, which I also don't agree with. Yeah, that's also really, if you're 35 years old and your thought when you're meeting a woman is you're so consumed by the jealousy of her being with other men, that's blatant insecurity. So if you're trying to go for younger women whose brains aren't developed because they're more easily wooed by you, A, and then B, because they don't have experience with men because you're so jealous, or it's just weird, right? And then let me tell you something also. I am 27, which I guess is past the attractive age range for Mr. Tate, but I am actually fairly selective. I know I'm on OnlyFans, which people think that how can she be on OnlyFans? But you can count the number of men I have been with, like, pretty much on one hand. And the 27, 26, 25-year-olds that are selective are not picking Andrew Tate. We're embarrassed. We would never pick him. So maybe the women that are older that still their frontal lobe cortex is struggling a little bit and they still find him attractive, they probably are the type of women that find almost anyone attractive, because your standards must be low if you think that man is attractive, which is fine. I'm not judging you, but the older women that are selective aren't picking him because they're mature and they're developed. The younger women that are like 16, 17, that are like, oh, he has a nice car, woohoo, they might, that totally makes sense as to why he thinks that. But anyways, I don't want to make this about him. Guys tend to get their hopes up too much about particular crushes and then spiral into depression when they get rejected. Yeah, so that ties into the first thing that I said. I don't know if you were here for the very first thing, but you don't live in a fantasy world, right? Don't idolize or put someone up on a pedestal that you don't even know, right? And I see this as a content creator. I see this all the time where men are like, oh my God, my life mission is to get a girl like you. You don't know me. Like, why? Like, you, because of my pictures? Like, what a weird thing to be consumed in your head, right? You see something and you fill in all the blanks, like, oh, this person's attractive, therefore being with them would make me happy, therefore they also have all these other traits that are admirable or pleasant or good, and if I got this woman, that would make me happy, because you like my pictures or you like some things that I'm saying. Same thing with women in real life. If you like a particular girl, and you are rejected and spiral because she doesn't like you back, especially when you haven't made a connection, you just like her because you interact with her, usually not even that much, if she's just like a crush or a friend, you are not really spiraling into depression, and you are not really just drenched in your rejection because she's so amazing. It's because of your own brain filling in all those blanks to make her out to be something that in reality she probably even isn't. Like, that's the thing. That's you, because you don't have enough information to make this woman this important, but you're filling in the blanks, and you're placing your energy, your worth, your existence onto something, an idea of somebody, more so than that person. And so that's I think that's where that comes from, right? Especially when it comes to, like, a breakup is different. Like, if you've been with someone and you break up and you spiral into a depression, that's very different than you're really interested in a girl and you're like consumed by them, and then they reject you and you're like devastated. That's your own brain that it's living in a fantasy world, kind of. Gotta guard those emotions and take time to know a woman you're interested in. Yeah, take the time to know and realize, like, what do I really know about this person? Why are they so important to me when I don't know them? I don't know them very well. What qualities am I attributing to this person without any evidence that they possess those qualities, right? You don't know somebody if you work with them a couple hours a day. They may be very attractive to you, especially physically attractive. And I think the issue is men. Men are very visual creatures. So they like the way somebody looks and they think that therefore they like that person. And no, that's not the way it works. Okay, let me see. Women like nice, but they don't. Oh, sorry. Oh, there's a lot. Women like nice, but they don't like a man, which is too much of a people pleaser. And women like more of a challenge. It's complicated. Not necessarily. We're going to get into some of these later. So the people pleaser thing, I think like what I said, people don't like people who aren't confident. People who are people pleasers are not confident in themselves. And so you can tell when somebody is fake confidence. You can tell when it's like someone like Tate. It's really, men seem to not really be able to tell under insecure men, but I can tell like, oh, if you're trying to date younger women because they've been with less men, screams insecurity to me. Like at what age, at what level of maturity? I don't think it's that high that you aren't going to be consumed by people's, what other men they've been with. Like, and a challenge is different. So what I'm gonna talk about the challenge part later, but women and everybody likes people who are nice. And like, I mean, I think this was somewhere else on my, so I'm gonna skip the next part and switch the numbers out. So being a leader, there is a reason, like I vehemently disagree with a lot of the stuff that's in like Disney movies and stuff, but there's a reason that the hero is always somebody that is attractive and that women like, right? If you see a person struggling, if you see somebody's car broken down, and you're the person that goes and you help that person, women love that, people love that, right? People love that. It shows you're confident. You're not like, oh, should I go help that person? What if I'm weak? No, you're like, oh, somebody needs help. Let me help them, right? People like people who put themselves on the line for other people. And we especially like it when that's your character and you're not doing it to just impress us, because we can tell the difference. I can tell when a guy holds the door open for me because he thinks I'm hot, but then there's like 2 other women walking and he shuts it. That's so unattractive, right? I want to be able to see from afar that you're holding the door open for everybody. You're not just holding the door open for a woman you find attractive. We can see through that. Are you the type of person that is actually kind, that is actually chivalrous, that is actually somebody that looks out for the people around you? Especially as a guy, I mean, there's all this, oh, women want to be protected, like to a degree, but it's not like we're living in those times where like, you need to protect us from lions. No, but at the same time, I want to know, hey, is this person somebody that is not afraid to step up to the plate when other people need help? When we're in a crisis, are they able to be like, okay, here's what we're going to do? Are they going to walk up? Like, I remember I was in Egypt and I didn't even notice this guy, but then this thing fell on this like woman's head and he immediately got out of the pool and went to go help this stranger. To me, that was super attractive. And that's not just me, that's people in general and women in general. And that's something you don't have to be 6'7" and no, you can be anybody. And if you're especially the one person in a group that takes the initiative to help and be a leader and to care about people around you, the hero, people like that. And that's just primal. That's why we see it in all these movies and these movies that may be problematic, but these movies link to our primal and instinctive brains. And as an instinct, we like people like that. The acronym simp is still hilarious. Yeah, I don't actually know what it stands for either. I do appreciate you speaking on these type of topics. Of course. I'm about to hook up with the 27-year-old, the 24-year-old. Any tips? I can give extra info. Who cares about your age? That should not be on your mind. Oh, she's 27, I'm 24. Right? To me, that's already like, I get those are natural thoughts, but stop yourself and be like, I can't think of a more irrelevant piece of information than the fact that this girl is a few years. Now, if she was way older or way younger, but like 27 and 24, I'm not seeing why you need particular tips about that. I usually I don't usually believe in guys with YouTube or TikTok channels talking about Sims and stuff, but just when you act like they say you should act, it's precisely that women look for you or respect you, contrary to when one act. Wait, what? But just when you act like they say you should act. I don't get that comment. Maybe I'm just not reading it properly. Older women are far more attractive, not necessarily for looks, but because they tend to have a much mature mindset. Yeah, these men that like women way younger than them are usually, they don't value experience, maturity, development, mental development. So that just tells, that doesn't like, and the thing that bothers me is like in that interview, for instance, Piers Morgan just throws out misogynistic. These words don't really mean anything, especially to his audience. And I don't think it's entirely misogynistic that he prefers younger women. I just think that says a lot about him and the type of person he is, and the justification, like, oh, that's what they think in other parts of the world. I'm not like making this up out of nowhere. And I did like that he's like, yeah, in these parts of the world also that women, you know, don't have like any rights. And why stop at 19? In a lot of these parts of the world, they like even up to 9-year-olds in certain countries. What's your issue with that? You seem to be picking right at the legal age. If it was younger, it seems like you would go even younger. They've probably had less dick, right? And you don't really care about their brains being properly developed or them growing up and having enough experience. So yeah, and you pointing to these Eastern societies that don't respect human rights, right? You don't even have the right to speak the way you speak here. Yeah, you may have been deplatformed, but nobody's putting you in prison. Like the government isn't imprisoning you. So it seems like you like these cultures only when you're in a member of the class that is oppressing another class, such as women here, and you're in the non-oppressed group, man, and then you like it. But anything that oppresses you, like no freedom of speech, no freedom of anything, now you don't like it. So that's my thoughts on him. Okay. It's just a superficial analysis. We're all just people with personalities, and some vibe and some don't. Yeah, but there are personality type. There are traits that human beings have that make them more attractive, such as kindness, confidence, leadership. Right? It's not like we're all just equal in like how we feel about, you know, somebody who's an asshole and is yelling at an old woman versus somebody who's helping the old woman. We're not like, oh, it's equal. Who knows? Maybe some people like this, some people like that. No. You'd be a really sick person if you preferred somebody that was cruel to the needy. You can't possibly be more attracted to someone who's far more young, doesn't know much about life. He is superficial, basal. Okay. I don't really want to talk about Tate anymore, but I just thought in that one interview, I feel like that was not gonna lie, I found you on Reddit was a shock to you because of how you look. But now I'm here. It's dope. You're having deep intellectual conversations. Yep. Check out the YouTube I'm gonna drop if you guys want more of this. And looks pull you in, but personality keeps you there. I mean, that's the case with a lot of things, but looks aren't the only thing that really pulls people in either. It may be like, for me, I think it's very strong capital and I'm gonna use it, which there's nothing wrong with that. But there's also a lot of other, like how often, especially let me tell you, for women, the littlest thing can make you unattractive, and it's not based on like how you look. Especially for women, I can tell you, we will see somebody across the room, and as soon as they come and interact with us, their body language, the way they talk and the way they carry themselves will like morph you into somebody who's far more attractive or far less attractive, especially the older and more mature we get. Like once we, you know, we're not 17, 15 anymore. Once we know who we, like I know who I am, I'm very confident, and this superficial shit does not excite me. It doesn't get me. But if you come and you are somebody that's average looking, but you carry yourself in a way like that shit will turn me on. And the same thing will happen where like a really conventionally attractive guy will talk and I'll hear him and he's just dumb, or he's just can't carry a conversation, or he's just, his body language, he's corny, like these kind of things. I'm just like, ugh. So, and that's how a lot of women are, because women are not as much of visual creatures as men are. He won't say anything under the eagle age because he knows his court wouldn't agree with him. Thank you, Elgrim the Elder, for dropping the YouTube with all of my stuff. It's also on my Instagram link if you guys are interested. Okay, so Be busy. Be a person that has a life. This makes you an attractive person to everybody, not just to women. But like I said, generally what makes you somebody that people enjoy being around or people respect are people who have shit to do. Okay, if you're sitting around all day playing video games or you're just sitting around doing nothing, and we can tell, right? Like if I say, oh, you want to go out when you want to go, oh, I'm free whenever, I don't have anything to do. Like, no, right? Like I'm not saying you have to go work a crazy job, but keep your schedule busy, have things to do, go places, do things, have hobbies. I can't tell you how important it is. Being a person that's passionate about something makes you attractive. Find something you're passionate about and master your craft, no matter what it is. I think it's super dope. And that's a way that attracts me and many other women. If I just randomly talk to you and you go, oh, I'm an artist, or I sculpt, and then you show me some of the things that you've done, I'm like, oh, that's really cool, right? Than someone that just says, oh, I sit around and like watch content that's like really degrading towards women. It's not attractive. So like, again, I don't want to like tie into this incel lifestyle, but I think this fear of just negativity and hatred, and then they wonder why nobody likes them. Well, nobody likes you because nobody likes somebody that just sits around and is miserable 24/7. Be busy, go out, do things, find hobbies, be a well-rounded person. Hold on, I'm getting a text. Okay, yeah, sorry guys, but yeah, and then that also gives you a way that you can connect with somebody else, like, right? Maybe you guys both like the same things. You know how many girls, like if I have some really weird interests and you also happen to have that interest, great, now we both have the same interest. But if you don't have interests, if you don't have hobbies, if you don't have anything you're passionate about, if you don't have a skill you're trying to improve and you're dedicating time in your life to improve that, you're not an attractive person. If your life is consumed by what your crush is doing or what this girl is doing, if I can tell that, like I said, it's the desperation that comes off, right? If you have like texted me multiple times and I haven't even looked at my phone in that time because I've been busy, now I know you're not doing anything and you're just, I don't have time for that. I don't have time to be somebody's hobby and emotional crutch and just like your purpose in life. No, go be a well-rounded person, go be busy, go do things. And it's funny because everyone says, oh, people always want, or like this is a common saying, like, oh, people want you when you don't want them anymore. As soon as you get over somebody, they want you back. The reason that's happening is because when you're over somebody, that means you have other things in your life now that are bringing you value and you're no longer consumed by this person. And that makes you attractive because you have other things going on in your life and people sense that, oh, this person is working, mastering their craft. Oh, this person is going out with friends. Oh, this person is taking up this new skill and hobby and showing us the process. This person is doing X, Y, Z. This person isn't on their phone 24/7. This person isn't online 24/7. Those things are attractive if people can sense that. And I can't tell you, like, it's very attractive to me when like I have a text conversation with somebody, with a guy, and it'll take me 6, 7, sometimes days to respond. And he sometimes takes that long to respond to. Hey, sorry, I'm just seeing this. Now it's not a game. We can tell when it's a game, like, oh, she took this long to flex me, so I'm gonna take. No, but it's like, hey, sorry for the late response. I've been really busy. Great, wonderful. What have you been doing? That's interesting. And it shows me you're not desperate and that you're not available at the, you know what I mean? There's a balance between being assertive and being like, hey, I want to spend time with you, but not like this is going to be the top priority in my life, right? Especially when you're just meeting someone and they're the top priority in your life, you're consumed by this day and night. Like, think about it. If you were able to get a date with me, would this be the number one thing that'd be on your mind for the next week? If the answer is yes, then I can tell you have no chance with women like me once we meet you, because we can tell, right? If it's something you're excited about and you're like, oh, cool, I get to see her in a week, but here's all the shit I need to get done in the meantime, and you're not consumed by it, that's very attractive. Why did my message go through this? I don't know. Okay, let me scroll up a little bit. What you said, Interested in hear about the situation I typed above. I don't know what you typed above. I don't see it. Maybe it didn't go through. Okay. Does money matter? It can. I'm not going to say it doesn't. I've explained my position on it before. For me, I make decent money. And so I would want somebody not to take care of me, but to be able to take care of themselves. And so that we can have the same kind of experiences. So like, you know, if you're, and you don't have to make as much money as me. You definitely don't have to make more money than me. And you definitely, like, I like to spend money on clothes and shoes and stuff. You don't have to do that. But like, if I want to be like, hey, let's go to Hawaii for a week, I need you to at least be able to take yourself over there. You don't take me, but you take yourself. So I think for a lot of women, the women who are really into money aren't making that happen for themselves, which is fine, but you just have to be aware of that, the situation that you're in. Now, maybe that's okay with you. I'm totally fine with men who exchange money for a woman's time and sex, but usually those aren't, I'm not saying those are wrong relationships or that your relationship can't be meaningful in that situation and that exchange can't be something that's very fruitful and works for you guys. But if that's not the relationship you're looking for, then why chase money in hopes of then having a woman like you for money? That makes sense. I can tell you that for a lot of women, money doesn't matter as long as you are past, like, for instance, how many men are personal trainers? Like, personal trainers don't make that crazy money, or they are doing something that they're helping people, they're teaching people something, they're passionate about something, especially physical things. Like they do just as well. If people are men that are active and are really passionate about, I even had a hot yoga teacher once that was super like yoga-y, and he was just so passionate about yoga and that kind of spirituality. And all of us thought he was super hot. And this guy was not barely making any money to like upgrade his phone. So no, and a lot of us would think that guy is more attractive than a guy walking in that makes a bunch of money but doesn't know how to fucking act, right? The only thing that makes them attractive is their money. So that is the only reason a woman would be after that guy. So if you're chasing money in order to get women who just want money, go for it. Woman, I work from 4 p.m. Right. Wait, woman, I work from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. I come home to draw to sell t-shirts, and I write so that one day a publisher hires me. Sorry. I go out on my motorcycle to different cities, and believe me, that doesn't make me as attractive as the theory says. Well, I can tell you right now, the fact that you're in my comment section, writing this, wanting validation for it, can kind of tell me where the issue lies, right? People who are actually out doing this stuff and are passionate about it aren't on like, why is no one noticing me? Why is no one noticing me? Hello? I do shit. Like, that's not the vibe. It's like low key. People that are low key busy, people who are announcing that they're busy, is a different story. I just joined, but being how the conversation about I'm 60 rich can enjoy less than I can fly. Great. I don't think she means it's a hard spot. It's good to be productive regardless of, yeah, exactly. If you're doing something, it's kind of like that saying, people come when you stop looking. But if you're like, okay, I'm gonna stop looking, everybody, I'm not on dating apps, I'm not looking, where, no, that's not what it means. When it says when you stop looking, what it really means is that you're interested and you're so focused on other stuff that you're not paying attention to who's looking and who's not looking. And then you realize, oh, why are all these people out? People say all the time, oh, now all of a sudden everybody's interested in me. Yeah, because you're not looking in the sense that you have other things going for you, and that makes you an attractive, well-rounded person. And an added benefit of that is you stop caring as much whether people are looking or not. You're not sitting there wondering who's looking, and then you're better able to put people that are interested in you or whatever in, like, you're less likely to overvalue their place in your life. If you're sitting around and someone comes in, it's like, I hate when I hear this. I was so miserable before I met you. I was so sad before I met you. You came and you saved me. Oh my goodness. These relationships either end up highly abusive or they break up. Nobody, like, that's not cute. It's not romantic that you were miserable until somebody came into your life and they're the thing that is making you not miserable. First of all, do not put that on somebody else. Do not put your happiness on somebody else. That's not fair to anybody. I don't want to be responsible for your happiness and you were miserable and now I'm the thing that's making you not miserable. I got enough shit to deal with. I can't be your fucking happiness in a person for you, right? People should add to your life. People should be somebody that adds to your life. But if they're not there, it should not be somebody, I can't live without you. No, let's stop. No, nobody say that. You can live without people. You are fine. If you're miserable now and you need somebody to come make you not miserable, you should be with nobody until you have figured out how you don't need someone to come in and save you from your misery. You can live. You should be living perfectly fine without a human being. And this human being can bring you joy and happiness. But if you're saying, I could not be happy, I don't have joy, I would not live without you. And if someone's saying that to you, run. Okay. And if you're the type of person that feels that way, work on yourself. Okay. So this woman who texts me and sends me stuff does not trust men because of previous relationship and lives near me. But then out of town. The main problem right now is while we text often, she has made plans. Do something simple like, but ghosted me after not wanting to do that twice. Is she actually interested? Are you interested in this? Like, think about it. Why are you interested in someone who seems emotionally unavailable and seems like they have a lot of work to do on themselves? If they acknowledge that and they're like, hey, I just want to let you know I have these issues, I'm working through it, and I'm trying to be somebody that is not letting the past dictate my future, and somebody who's responsible, respects you, respects your time. When she's ghosting you, that shows you she doesn't respect you or your time. So why are you interested in somebody that doesn't respect you and respect your time? This is what confidence means, right? This is, if a girl isn't showing you respect, why are you still like, oh my God, does she like me? Does she like me? You shouldn't like her, right? You need to be like, okay, this person's off. You don't have to show hate. This person's going through things. This is not the type. I don't want a type of person that isn't reliable. I don't want a type of person who isn't working on themselves. I don't want a type of person who makes a commitment and can't keep a commitment to me, because that means she probably doesn't keep commitments to herself either. And plenty of people are like that. It doesn't make them bad people, but be mindful of who, and then you're sitting here wondering what's wrong with you when the situation you just typed to me shows me a billion indicators that things are wrong with her. This is a reflection of her. It's not a reflection of you. Even if she is really interested in you, if this is the kind of person that she is, or she has all this stuff that she needs to work with on. That's what I kind of said about holding the door open for everybody. If somebody's not ghosting you, but they ghost people in general, that is the type of person that they are. And they will do that to you too, when the time comes. You're not going to live a lifetime of bliss where their true colors aren't going to come out. They're nice to you because they want something out of you. They think that but that's not who their values. Look at a person's values, right? Look at their values, right? So if their value is ghosting people is wrong, it's rude, and it's immature, then they're not going to ghost anybody, right? If somebody's not ghosting you because they think you're sexy, but they're ghosting that guy, that shows that they don't think that. They don't mind being immature. They don't mind being rude. They don't mind being an asshole. So what makes you think that down the line, I see this all the time, they're like, oh my God, they were so nice in the beginning and now they're different. They're not different. This is who that person was. Look at how they interact with everybody else. Look at how they interact with people. Look at how they interact with people that work in the service industry, people who are supposedly below them in any type of way. See how they interact with their friends. That's another one. Look at men. Be mindful of who you hang out with, because we pay attention. I will not get close to a man until I have seen him with his friends. I see how he interacts with his friends and I see who his friends are, right? Are your friends assholes? Are your friends perpetuating these negative thoughts and beliefs, right? How are you with your friends? Are you guys obnoxious? Are you guys rude when you go out? Are you guys the type of men that do hold the door open for people and help people and are kind and respectful of others? Because it's really easy for a guy to be that way when he's talking to you or he meets you. But once you're with your friends, that's who you really are. So if your friends, look at the kind of men your friends are. If you don't want to be that type of person, that whole saying, tell me who you are, tell me who your friends are, I'll tell you who you are. That's kind of true because you're choosing your friends, right? It's different than, we're going to meet your extended family and you have a crazy aunt. Like you can't control that. But if these are the people you're spending your time with, I want to know who you're spending your time in because that's going to tell me a lot about you. So if your friends just sit at home and do nothing and are the kind of things that make somebody unattractive, one, that can probably tell me that can probably let you know why you are also struggling in this department because you guys are all living like this. And two, that's going to reflect on you when you do go out into the dating world. So what you're saying is you have access to certain women based on your socioeconomics. I'm not saying that. Can you clarify? The thing is, I never try it because they give me the feeling this is wrong. You know what I mean? They don't want it, so they give me the feeling. You're going to have, I don't know what you mean you never try it. Status definitely plays into relationships compatibly. Not necessarily a bad thing. It's just another aspect of the relationship. Yeah. Compatibility matters, right? If one person is used to living super frugally and the other person likes to splurge and go out and spend a shit ton of money, how the fuck are these people going to date? And I'm one of those people. I'm not frugal. If I want to go somewhere, I want to get the best tickets. I want to get front of the line passes and I want to do this and I want to do that. And especially men that can afford it and are still like, no. I'm not paying for this. I don't want to do that. No, let's save money. Let's stay in. That's fine. In fact, that may be more financially responsible, but we're not going to have a good time because I don't want to worry about when I go out that you're like, no, let's wait in line for all this time because I don't want to pay $10 extra. That's just not compatible with me because I'm not standing in that line with you. So now we're not even together in the line. But some other women, like my best friend, opposite. If a guy was spending like I spend, she would be like, ew, no. Right? She's very like, let's coupon, let's do this. So it's more like, what kind of lifestyle do you guys live and how would you guys have that kind of lifestyle together? Right? It's like spontaneous. If somebody's really spontaneous and the person's always like, oh no, I don't want, like I used to be this way. I used to not go anywhere unless I was fully dressed up in heels, everything. And I had guys that were very into like nature and stuff that wanted to just go on hikes and like either me or them would be like, okay, this is clear. Like, now it's a little different because now I do enjoy that kind of stuff. But I'm like, I don't want to live this lifestyle. So think about that. Don't you think it's kind of shallow? Sorry, I'm like behind. Sorry, I'm like 5 minutes behind on these comments. Don't you think it's kind of shallow that you may be unattracted to someone once you learn of their status? I mean, it's kind of contradicts some of the points made. What do you mean by status? Do you mean they're well liked in their community because they're nice? Or do you mean status like how much money they have? What does status mean to you? A date at your house or hers probably isn't good. We go to a restaurant. Yeah, especially the first time. Don't invite girls to your house. Most of us are going to say no. Well, I don't think there's any material security, something that will affect your relationship with someone. Then it's, yeah. So if you're talking about status like money, then yeah, you have a right to be like, if somebody wants to. Really important to me, somebody also makes money, or some girls make it's important to me so the guy makes money and spends it all on me. That's what I'm looking for. If that's what they're looking for, that's what they're looking for. Now you need to stop and think, okay, is this what I'm looking for? Am I looking to be in charge of someone financially? Now I have my advice for women on why that's a really bad idea. But that's a different conversation. Plus, not everyone understands love the same way. Exactly. I agree. I think there have been really great relationships that have. I've even seen, hey, Hazard Stint, it's a soft white underbelly. There was like a slave master relationship. And I was always like, oh, this can't be like healthy. But no, if people really have an agreement, anytime two people understand each other's boundaries, have open communication, and have guidelines for what they're doing and they're not hurting anybody else, have at it. Okay. I really appreciate women who see it goes from dancing in the club to kids and bills. And I really appreciate women who can see the reality of it all. It goes from dancing in the club to kids and bills and washing and cleaning nonstop. What do you mean? Sorry, maybe I'm behind on these and I said something that you guys are responding to and I don't remember what it is. What I mean by contradictory is that the argument being made sound superficial when going back to the Andrew Tate conversation. It's not something she agreed with. Materialism makes a relationship more transactional than a mutual emotion. I think we can all at least agree that love is an emotion. But relationships are transactional, at least somewhat, right? You have no business and you have no reason, nor do you ever really have relationships with people where you're getting nothing out of it and you're just giving. If you're in that kind of situation, you need to, people who are confident and respect themselves and want to enjoy life are not going to enter those kind of relationships. So I think it's beautiful when a man and a woman are like, okay, I'll take care of the finances, you take care of X. It should be like teamwork. So maybe one person delegates responsibilities or whatever. And some people value different things. For some people, it's really important to them that they find someone in their faith. Makes perfect sense, right? You want somebody that's going to align with your values. I'm a low status dude in the sense that I'm not on Instagram or Facebook and Twitter. I want to protect my enemy. What would you say? Would you say most women want a famous Andrew Tate type guy or no? No. In fact, especially the older. Okay, here's also a thing that's just true. Men on social media is a completely different vibe than women on social media, right? If you're taking like selfies and like mirror shirtless pics, I just think you're like online trying to like have sex with as many people as like, it's just like, it's like ick factor for a lot of women. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that and you can go do that, but it's off-putting to, I'm like, okay, you're especially at my age now, like we're almost 30 here. Why are you taking selfies? Like, or why are you like taking like pictures? Like when I see profiles of men that have a picture of their abs, like I will never ever talk. That's just me. I'm like, what are you doing? For what? What is the reason? So no, in fact, not having social media is actually really attractive to a lot of women and sometimes for men too. Some men don't like women that are consumed by social media. Now for me, I think I do it as a job, which you would either be okay with or not. But yeah. There's a distinction between how someone like Tate practices mating and how Jazz is explaining relational values. It really does come down to two individuals taking time to really know each other. Yeah. Tate is living it up. He is fucking these 17, 18, 19-year-olds who are, let's say, over 18 because, you know, he's making sure they are 18. And then if they're 18, that's better than 19, 20 or whatever. But that are really like, oh, I want to fuck Andrew Tate because he's famous and he has a car. Yeah, great. That's what he wants, right? He doesn't need anything deeper than that. He doesn't seem like a particularly deep person and he can be completely happy living his life that way. What I'm saying is you, the men who are taking that advice, it's not going to work for you, right? You can join his pyramid scheme all you want, but you're not going to be Andrew Tate and you're not even going to attract those 19-year-olds that he's attracting. And let's say you want something deeper or you want a woman that isn't, you know, fucking 15, then these are the kind of things that they are looking for, right? When I was like 15, 16, I thought it was like cool. Like I didn't care if a guy was just like a drug dealer. And I don't have issues with drug dealers. I have issues with the way our criminal justice system treats drug offenses and all of that. But it's like, you know what I mean? Now, if I was like, what do you do? Oh, I sell drugs. I would be like, okay. You know, it's not attractive to us anymore. And neither is having a nice car or like a shit ton of money in the same way, especially if you don't have any other redeeming qualities. We don't care, you know. Obviously there's transaction going on, but relationships can't always be maintained that way because once a person is able to provide you anything new or something new, you can't just throw them away. That's what most people do. That's why over half of the people that get married get divorced. This is why people break up all the fucking time. If people just force themselves to stay in relationships that made them unhappy, that would be miserable. I'm not saying the second someone stops providing you with something that you leave. I'm saying you can try to work on it, but you don't force yourself. Where's the line? When is it okay to throw something away? When is it okay? I'm not happy anymore. I don't see myself becoming happy by staying with you, so I'm leaving. Why is that bad? Why do we value people who force themselves to stay with somebody for 50, 60 fucking years? Cool, great, you accomplished something, but I want to know, are you actually happier than this person who didn't save their marriage and is off now traveling the world or living their life. I don't know. I care about what makes people happy, and that doesn't look the same for everybody. But also, these things that we just assume, oh, you must be a happier person if you've been married your whole life. Where says who? Where is that data coming from, right? So I think that, yeah, I'm not saying throw people away the second they stop, they have a rough patch or something, but yeah, if somebody is no longer serving you and you are giving so much of yourself and you're emotionally exhausted, don't think it makes you a villain to leave instead of sticking it out another 50 years. Well, that goes back to my point. LOL, you can't get to know each other if one person decides they don't want to be with you because of your status. Well, if somebody is really like, I only want somebody with money, then let them do that. I mean, most people aren't like that. And if you are in that situation, look at who you're attracting. Why do you want to be with somebody who doesn't want to be with you because of your status? To me, excellent way to weed people out. In fact, I wish there was more people that shared that sentiment, because then it's a big chunk of people that you can be like, oh, doesn't work for me. They stay together for the kids, I imagine. Yeah, but I mean, you don't need to stay together. Like I'm saying, like people that are like, oh my God, my grandparents have been together for this many years. If they're happy, they're happy. But I don't think they're necessarily happy just because they've stayed together. And I don't think people that haven't stayed together are doing anything wrong or have failed, right? Clearly, we're still seeing that this idea of two people getting married, no matter how much they intend, right? And these aren't people like me that are like, do what makes you happy. These are people that are like, no, we made a vow before and they still can't fucking do it. So that's just show you something. I wish we could all fall in love with our high school sweetheart and be together from a younger age. Dating as a mature adult sucks. See, I'm the opposite. I always think, thank God I didn't meet somebody in high school that I fell madly in love with, that I was still in love with to this day, because I think like that's why people are different. Like I want to experience different kinds of people. I want to meet different kinds of people. I don't want to be tied down with one person my whole life, especially from high school. So people are different, and that's okay. Okay. So how tall am I? I am 5 foot. Okay. Next thing. So yeah, be busy, be passionate and good at something, have hobbies. How do you spend your free time? I'm not saying like don't consume content or don't watch TV shows and stuff, but like, are you spending your free time engaging with what do you consume? What kind of content do you consume? Do you consume content that is negative and depressing, and you're like in forums talking about how much you hate your life, and you're spending your free time commenting on other people, who like going on my TikTok or my Reddit and seeing a guy say something nice to me and calling him a simp? Is that how you're using your free time? Because I promise you, those men aren't getting any women. And so you already know if you're in that situation. But be mindful. You have 24 hours. What did you do the past 24 hours? Right? What did you even do for your free time? Did you watch a really good TV show? Did you watch a documentary? Did you go consume some content and engage with a content creator? I think that's great. But if you're like, oh, in my free time, I just go on these forums and I consume Andrew Tate and I feel like I'm cool now because I'm a man, like I don't think that is a good use of your time. Even to this day, my earliest crush from high school is the wife I dream of. That's a you issue. The fact that you're dreaming about somebody from high school, you don't even know who the fuck you're dreaming about. You're dreaming about a narrative that you created in your head over somebody from high school that may or may not be cemented in reality. Okay. We kind of went through a lot of these without me, like just by talking, but here's some practical things. Could be dreaming of a serial. You really shouldn't let others live rent free in your head like that. Life is full of limits. Just because I want something doesn't mean I deserve and have equal access to it. That's a good point. You don't get everything you want. It's good that you don't get everything you want. But I think what's really sad is being mad you're getting something that you want when you don't know what it is that you want. You're idealizing something that you want, when if it was really there, you may not even want it. Have you ever really wanted something and then you get it and you're like, oh, that could be the situation. Yet you're going to spend your life thinking that it's something else when you don't even know if it is. That, to me, that's like a super waste of your time. I'm just waiting for real.x. I don't know what that is. Is that the AI sex thing? And yeah, again, I don't think that's bad that you want to consume that, but don't let it be a replacement for real people, right? Don't let on, like they always say, oh, people who spend all their time on social media and online aren't happy. We have the science for that. That's out. It does not replace human interaction. It should be, remember we talk about the piece of the pie, right? Piece of a pie. Okay, I spend this much time on social media, but then you go out into the real world and that helps you not think social media is 100% reality. That's what fixes it for you. If all you're seeing is this, if all your information on sex is from porn, if all of this, and you can't separate reality from social media, that is where the issue comes. The issue doesn't come. It's not inherently evil to get on social media, right? If you went to work a long day, you spend time with your friends, and you're coming home and you're spending your downtime checking up on your friends on Instagram, watching some porn, checking out Jazmen Jafar's latest video, go for it, right? But if that is what you're doing, and I have a strict policy, if somebody messages me like 4 times, question mark, hey, I let that person know, hey, I'm seeing some unhealthy behavior come out of you. I will not enable that. I'm not working with you. Because to me, that's like, why are you just sitting there, consumed by this? There's a difference. And I can see that difference in my subscribers and in real life. But in my subscribers in particular, right? I'll tell you this, 100% of the men that are calling other men simps that are in this toxic world, 100% of them are like that. When it comes to my subscribers, a good amount of them aren't like that. Sometimes I respond and they don't get back to me for 2 days. Hey, sorry, I haven't checked this or whatever. I appreciate people who check up on my posts every day, right? It's content you enjoy and you like. But if I take 12 hours to respond because I'm fucking sleeping, you should not be checking OnlyFans every 2 hours to see when I've responded to you. That's when I know it's unhealthy. Okay. I haven't looked for a relationship since 2006. I don't miss it. That sounds like it's a you problem, because human beings need each other and they do enjoy relationships. So if you're letting a bad experience guide you, we talked about coding, right? So in previous podcast episodes. So if you have a bad experience and you're like, okay, you're coding your brain that instead of saying, okay, now I learned what I like and don't like. Now I learned what makes a good partner. Now I learned this. You're saying, now I learned I'm never going to talk to anybody ever. And it sucks and fuck them, fuck everybody. I'm going to be alone forever. That's how you're coding that experience. That's a double whammy. You had the bad experience and now you have a bad aftermath because of it too. That's not, I said this before too, you can't shut the door to pain without also shutting the door to joy. So if you want to live a life where you are just alone because you're so afraid, that's your prerogative, but I don't think it's very healthy. Not because I sparked a kid about point me, someone's living rent free in my head. Well, the limits are set yourself and those around you, not because nature. I don't know what you guys are talking about, this conversation. You can code. No, I'm talking about like coding experiences in your head, right? Your intuition and your experiences, everything that you learn goes into your head and things you learned and so we talked about how to code failure. If you code failure, like I'm a loser, I'm never going to be good at this, bye, then you're going to quit. And instead of you say, oh, I learned something. Oh, I have new data. Oh, I have something that may help me in the future. That is going to be far more beneficial to you. The experience happened. So what are you going to get out of the experience? Are you going to get something that's going to make your next experience better? Or are you going to get something out of it that's going to make all your future experiences even worse? That's up to you. Okay, so this is just kind of more little stuff. I talked about this before, but if you are asking someone out on a date, women out on a date, make it low investment for them, because we have a lot of like, especially if it's a girl that's busy or she has a lot of people. If you're like, hey, next Saturday, want to go to this really nice restaurant that blah, 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 but it's 45 minutes away, and no, I'm gonna be home. What do you mean? But if it's something like, oh, we're in the same class, or oh, we're at lunch, we have lunch at my job. You want to get lunch together tomorrow? Well, she has to get lunch anyway, and then she has to come back to work anyway. Since she was going to go eat alone McDonald's by herself. So now the option is, do I eat alone at McDonald's on my lunch break, or do I eat with you? She's far more likely to say yes than if you're like, hey, on Saturday night, instead of hanging out with your friends and your loved ones or spending your very hard-earned free time after working all week, do you want to go do something with me? She's going to be like, I don't know. It's too risky, because what if you suck and now I wasted my Saturday night? She's much more likely to be like, it's okay if I waste a lunch break than I wasted an extravagant coming from an alpha male. Okay, I already don't like that. Anyone who uses the phrase alpha male, especially someone who are like already off-putting. The actual way to get a girl is to focus on yourself and your career, passions, and work out. If you don't, then you probably need to step back and go fix these things, and then your chances grow a lot. Women need a man who knows where he's going. So those are kind of things I already said, but this kind of talk is off-putting, at least to women who have a brain. But a lot of women don't, so that's okay. Ask about them. People like talking about themselves. It's just a fact of life. Also something before, if you're reaching out to someone online, I see this, we all have brains. Okay, true, I agree. But somebody who like, I mean, if I asked 15 of my girlfriends, if someone said, as an alpha male, how would you feel about that? We're like, so that's all I'm saying. But if that's you and it works for you, Andrew Tate does it too. He gets a part. So first think of, okay, I want to attract women. Think of what kind of women do you want to attract? So that's another thing that you need to think about. So think about like, okay, so the guy who's like, oh, women are obsessed with money. There are women who only want men for money. If that's your goal, to attract those women, then make a lot of money. If your goal is to attract women who want something more than that, then you need to build your other character traits. It's okay to be alpha. Why get mad about it? Nobody's mad about it. It's just weird to like say that. Like, it's just, first of all, that lingo is very like incel-y to us. Nobody in like real life, no alpha male that I met even knew, like, if I was like, oh, you're like an alpha male, you're like a Chad, they're like, what the fuck is that? They're not sitting there like, oh yeah, as an alpha male. It'd be like me being like, as the most beautiful woman in the room. Like, it's like off-putting. But that's just me. It's not weird to be cocky. So cocky, yes, it is annoying to be cocky, but also that terminology, alpha male, high value, blah, 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 that just tells me what kind of content you consume. And it tells me that you're fixated on this world with this vocab and this lingo that is cringy. That's the word. It's cringy to talk about being an alpha male or a beta male or any of these weirdo fucking terms that is primarily used by men who aren't very successful in the dating sphere. To me, it's like, if a guy was like, hey, as an alpha, if I was sitting across a guy on a date and he was like, yeah, as an alpha male, I would be like, but that's just me. Alpha male is a new term that didn't even exist 6-7 years ago. Yeah, it's like a term that's used by the cringe world. So that's just my opinion, though. That might be just me, but I think most of my friends would agree, and that's something we would laugh about probably later. Like, we'd be like, yo, this guy was like, I'm an alpha male. That's never happened to me and my friends, because I think we would read those. Usually you can kind of tell those guys are like odd. You know who I feel like would use that phrase? Remember how I told you the guy in high school who was really successful in high school, maybe was a great athlete in high school, and then he fell off. He's not really that smart. He doesn't really, whatever. And he's just like, oh, but like, I'm an alpha male. Like, that's kind of what I think of. But anyways, alpha male has been around a long time. This online world of using alpha male and high value, how to be a high value man. Please don't watch that video. Please don't watch a video of a guy telling you how to be a high value guy. I mean, yeah, some of the information in there may be useful, like, oh, work on yourself, go get a job, go do this, go do that. But it's like, if you're doing that, so you just look up how to be happy. Like, how to be, that should be your search. How to be happy. How to be somebody that feels fulfilled. How to be somebody that other people trust. How to be somebody that's a good friend. Those are things that are just things that, like, that will make you a high value person, instead of how to be an alpha male. Like, no, Okay. Anyways, so yeah, and then also when you're reaching out to women, don't be like boring and hey, how are you? What are you doing? No. But also don't be like, because I have had this happen too, where a guy's trying to be really like stimulating in conversation and he'll message me like some really complex question that now you think like I have to take the time. Why did it just go dark? I don't know. That now you think I have to spend my time answering. Like, if you could be any fruit in the world, which fruit? Like, bro, I don't know. Or what is your biggest regret or failure in life? Like, I'm tired. I have fans that I need to like engage with. I have content that needs to come out. I'm not going to sit here and think about your deep philosophical question off the jump, right? If we're like sitting in a car on a late night and we're on a drive and I'm not doing anything else, sure. But otherwise, like, be respectful of people's time and don't feel entitled to it. So don't think you can just ask somebody some really complex, deep question and you expect a response, because if I'm busy and if I have 20 minutes, I'm not going to spend 18 minutes thinking about a response to your question. So think about that too. Do you manage your OnlyFans with your man? I don't have a man. I manage my own OnlyFans. OnlyFans don't talk. They do push-ups. Yes. Agree. Very hot. You guys, one time, there was so where I used to live when I was growing up, there was like a place out in the woods that like people would go party in, like underage kids. And I was not that type of person. But one night my friend was like, please, Canada. And I was in heels and I could not do this hike to get to this place. So I got on this so my friend, he had a cousin in town. And my friend he was like all the way up there. But I was like, oh, can you carry me to his like cousin? And he's like, okay. So he carries me, and he was one of these guys that was like trying really hard. And like, then we go all the way back down, because after I got there, I was like, no, fuck this, take me back down. So he takes me back down. And then I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. You're probably tired because you've been carrying me this whole time. He's like, no. And he gets on the floor and starts doing diamond push. I was like, and then his cousin, my friend, called me. He's like, you can't take advantage of him like this. Like, I was like, clearly we can see that he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, because that's really weird decision to make right there. Yeah, but the other thing I was saying is ask about yourself. I mean, ask about the other people. Like talking about themselves. People like people that seem interested in what they're doing and what they're passionate about. So if I'm meeting guys and like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm a content creator, but I also want to start making this kind of content and telling people about how to relationship advice. I'm like, oh, what are some of the things you're saying? Oh, what are you doing? Seem interested in the person. And then guess what? That is a good way for you to find something that they're talking about that you connect on. Oh, I really like, yeah. And then I get home. What do you like to do when you're free? Oh, I like to like, watch. And don't ask like really general questions like, what are you interested in? Da, 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 da. Be like, oh, someone says I'm a nurse. Be like, oh, was it really hard during COVID? Or say something that's like not just do you like it? You know what I mean? Just ask something like I told you, there's a guy that like I talk to all the time. And the only reason I really talk to him and I consider him a friend, and I actually hung out with him a couple of weeks ago, is because he does that. I'll be like, yeah, I'm busy being a content creator. He's like, oh, how do you organize your time? Like, do you feel like you put out whatever? Do you feel like, what's your favorite kind of content to make? Stuff that like, I'm like, oh, I like to do whatever, right? And then maybe there'll be some interplay there where you're like, oh, you're interested? Oh, yeah, at night. And then I chill and I like to watch true crime. Oh my God, I like true crime too. What do you think of this case? And that's the way that you guys can connect. But instead of you talking about yourself and trying hard to impress the person, the best thing you can do is just be laid back and let the girl fucking talk. Don't try to fill every moment. Don't try to fill the awkward silences. Like, let them be, because if you're trying too hard, it's really obvious too. And I know it's like easier said than done, but the only way to learn this is to practice. If you're going to sit in your room and look up how to be an alpha male 80 times, then it's not going to, you're not going to get these results. And I think that's everything. Read cues. So read somebody's body language, especially with sex stuff. Don't especially like, I mean, I'm totally fine with guys that are very open and are like, hey, I'm looking for somebody to just hook up with. Great. And if the girl says no, that's great. No issues with that kind of person. But if like you're like trying to date or whatever, and then you're like a lot of guys actually wait for the girl to kind of show interest, a little bit of interest, and then you kind of play, okay, I'm going to show how is she going to react to this. Don't just like be in a movie and then like grab her inner thigh. Like this is just not the move. Maybe just move a little closer and see, because if a guy moves a little closer to me, I don't want him to, I'm gonna move a little away. And once I do that, then he should never come back. But if I'm like kind of scooching in a little bit, okay, that's your cue. You gotta read people correctly. And I think where men fuck up, and there's this whole thing now, well, women don't want us to approach them at all, and women don't want, and women only like when these men do it. When we do it, it's creepy. Well, yeah, because I like that guy and I'm giving him the cues so he knows that he can do this. You're just weird and you're just acting and you're copying that guy, even though I'm giving you guys completely different cues and body language on what I want and what I don't want. So that's really what's happening. It's not that, oh, she does it with him because he's 6'4", so a 6'4" guy can just walk up and grab a girl's ass and she'll love it. This is like that incel shit that I'm like, no, it's not what's happening. If you see a guy 6'4" or whoever he is and she's chilling, it's because she knows him and she likes him and he didn't just walk up and do that the way you're wanting to do it. So yeah, those were like my 10 tips. Girls want to have fun and feel you are mysterious. You need to do your thing and say less than everything about it. Mysterious? I guess guys that are low key. And to me, talking about being an alpha male means you're not. It means you're like consumed with trying to be this person of high status, which is not a low key person. Like somebody that's just like, oh, like, humble and chill and isn't like even in this world where you're putting people in a hierarchy, isn't thinking about a hierarchy, right? Me and my friends talk about this all the time, where it's like I post on Reddit, right? And I post on Reddit and I'll be like, rate my boobs. And like the guys in there, you could tell 8.9, 9.27637. I'm like, okay, this guy, like, he's analyzing women's breasts and women's nipples to this degree. He's not seeing it in real life. If I ask real men that, they'll be like, oh yeah, she's bad, or oh yeah, she's sexy. They're not like, oh, her left thing, it looks like that's not how people are. And it's the same way with women and like penis size. The guys are like, rate, can you give me? And I don't mind people who want to rate me to rate their body parts. I will do that for you. But the thing is, I would like if you realize that you are probably thinking it's more important than it is. Especially, I've said this before, I don't understand the phenomenon with like dick sizes, because it's like, who's even like, by the time a girl is gotten to the point where she wants to see your dick, first of all, it's usually in those circumstances, we're not like, oh my gosh, here is the penis, let me look at it. Like, it's not that precise. And then also, like, by that point, she probably is feeling you enough that you're going to do your thing. She's not going to be like, okay, it is now time for me to assess if your penis is worthy of, like, again, I'm seeing a lot of, okay, you get your information from porn or your, whatever. And I don't have an issue with that necessarily. Like, that's why I do these ratings. I don't do things that I think enable bad behavior. But here's what I will do. I'll be like, okay, yeah, I like it, or this is what I like, and this is how yours look. And if they're like, so would you fuck me? So would you do it? I'm like, oh God, okay. Now I see. I'm like, I just tell the guy, this is not your issue. So I am, but I don't abuse it. I don't like girls who are easy. I don't know what you are. What? I haven't even seen my own day. That's hot, honestly. Andrew Tate explains things like he's autistic. I think he might be on the spectrum. I get that sense, but I'm not a professional, so I don't know. Would you say you are experienced? Not. What is experience? Like, have I dated a lot? No, but I think you don't need to do something a bajillion times to have insight on it either, right? It's kind of like kissing. Like, some people are good kissers and they've only kissed X amount of people. Some people have kissed a bajillion people and they're terrible at kissing. So it's not necessarily experience equals expertise, but the more you try things and the more you experiment with things and the more that then the better you get at things, especially when it comes to interacting and communication. Do you see yourself having a family when? I'm not consumed by having a family. I do want children. That is something that I've always wanted. And I think it's like a beautiful thing to to bring life into this world and raise them to be good human beings, like for the future. But that's going to be like, what, like, I don't think I want to do that till I'm like 35. When it comes to a man, I obviously want a good, at least co-parent for my child, and hopefully some kind of good, nice, deep partnership. That doesn't mean that we're like, from this day forth, we will never look at another person. And like, I don't think those relationships are healthy. Or you cannot watch porn, or watching porn is cheating, and this, and like, it's almost like I never got it, because I'm like, so you want people to like you by depriving them of every other like, to me it doesn't make sense. Like, especially I see this a lot with these really religious people in the Middle East. Like, women all need to cover and be at home, so your only woman you see naked is your wife, and the only woman you even see is your wife, and therefore you will like your wife because you see nothing else and you have no other options. I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want a guy who's with me because he has no access to other women. Like, to me, I'd be like, I want somebody who wants me despite access to other women, despite the fact that he watches porn and all this stuff. I think that's healthy. I don't want somebody who is with me because he has no other options, or because our society is built in a way where he's forced practically to only like me and be with me and only see me. I don't see how that is flattering to anybody. Maybe socializing on the internet now is like cavemen writing on a wall. The future of the internet might be purely commercial. I don't think socializing on the internet is necessarily a bad thing, but if that's the only way you know how to socialize, then yeah, it is. Is it okay if I tell a girl to take a shower before we have sex? Why? It depends on the context, my guy. You have to really see what kind of situation you guys are in. If you feel uncomfortable having sex with someone, if they don't take a shower before, then tell them. They should shower before they see you in the first place. Yeah, that's usually the case. Usually people shower before they see you. But it's not okay. It might be a little odd depending on the circumstance. I don't know if it's like, I mean, if you're in a relationship, like the times I was in a relationship, I had weird rules. Like, we couldn't have sex when I am too ready. Like, I'm going to go out or something, so you can't ruin it. But we also can't have sex if I'm too not, like if I've been out and like now it's like I had a very like we only have and like I was like, okay, this is the rule, sorry. But if I was a guy and I was trying to have sex with a girl that I just met, I would not be like that, obviously. So it depends on the situation. Okay, so I need some help. How do I recover from this? I was at my girlfriend's birthday party and they spiked the cake. I don't think that's a real story. Okay. Anything else you guys want to talk about, or questions that you have? More like personal stories. Like, I don't know if that's, if I can find something that may be beneficial to everybody, I'll address it. If it's just like weird and dumb, like talking about your poop, like not a middle school classroom. I remember me and a guy in middle school who, he's gay, but we were best friends and we were really immature. And we would think it's funny to yell out penis in class. We're like, I'm like, okay, but like now that's not the case. But I do find some that's also really unattractive. Being overly like crude. But there are some women that are also like that. So maybe you guys like are compatible. But for me, and I think majority of women, we're like, we don't think like farting is funny and stuff anymore. Like, to me, that's just like, oh, he's 9, like wonderful for him. But ow. Okay. You make a lot of good points. Thank you. So yeah, there will not be another episode this week. I will be out of town at the end of this week, but I hope to be check out that YouTube channel, because I am going to drop, hopefully this week, I will drop my first video, which is going to be my full story on lawyer to OnlyFans star. And then I'll probably I'm going to try to get a dress try on in too. I am 27. Farting, LOL, it's a bros thing. But I told you, like, if I'm around you and your friends and you guys are like farting you, I'm like, oh. Depends how much it is. Like, there's obviously some stuff, like, I don't expect to understand everything that you and your friends find funny. But if you guys are just like, if I'm seeing juvenile behavior, then you act very juvenile to me, and I don't like that. And I think a lot of women don't like that either, unless, you know, there's some women who they'll fart along with you, and I think that's great too. You know, like I said, it's not one size fits all, but generally it's not attractive to act like a 13-year-old boy. You must like Biden. I don't love Biden. I don't dislike Biden. I think he's actually done a lot of great things recently. Being an OnlyFans star is equivalent to being a TikToker, I guess. I mean, they're both content creators. I wouldn't put one over the other. I think you can make a lot of money in both. Okay. So these men seem to really like the farting stuff. Some of you guys are unhinged. I think that's I think these are men that aren't doing very well in the dating arena. Anyways, let me see. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so let us end this. I'm glad you guys found some stuff useful. I'm glad you guys think farting is really funny. Hope you can use that information to your benefit somehow. But I hope everybody has a great day. I am going to end the stream now, but yeah, you guys can always message me on Instagram and stuff about your thoughts. Do you think you could be a judge someday? I don't have no interest in being a judge, and I think that we're not progressive enough yet as a society to let an OnlyFans girl be a judge. Anything you would like to ask men in the stream? Not really. I guess other than if you guys have particular topics you guys want me to discuss in the future. You're awesome. Thank you. Okay, bye.